great start to your day, and of course jumping in with today's live video. And I think overwhelm is a really prevalent topic right now, with so many changes going on in the world, and with the unknown, and stepping into the unknown and not feeling certain or not having clarity around what that actually is for us can be really, really challenging, just in our own human brain, and also that loss of certainty and that loss of feeling this sense of security and feeling this sense that everything's going to be okay. Quite often, good morning Brooke, lovely to have you on, and good morning to who else has jumped on there. Facebook is not currently showing me, but that's okay. So you know, overwhelm really can happen through numerous circumstances. Overwhelm can happen when we're changing into perhaps a new job, or when we've had a major change in our life circumstance. It can be also with a health condition. If you've just been newly diagnosed with a particular health condition, it can also happen in different life stages. So different challenges obviously present in different life stages. Hey Ruth, lovely to have you on. So all of those things really can bring up lots of overwhelming feelings and lots of overwhelming challenges. And obviously with COVID in all sorts of ways, there's lots of unknowns with that, and that can also be super overwhelming. Now also, if you are used to being a high achiever and you like to get a lot of stuff done, you are probably used to constantly living in overwhelm. Overwhelm constantly produces stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, and keeps us in that fight-flight state. It keeps this feeling of pressure going in our system, which long-term can be very detrimental to our well-being, our mental and emotional well-being, and also our physical well-being, because the high levels of cortisol, whilst yes, they help us to stay active and help us to get things done, but eventually we drop into adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, where the body is having trouble now producing adequate levels of cortisol, and of course then adequate levels of sex hormones in all sorts of ways. And of course that creates major imbalances throughout our whole entire system, and being in that stress response long term. Hey Bailey, great to have you on. Being in that stress response of feeling extremely overwhelmed, or not knowing how to get overwhelmed, where your head is so cloudy, your mind is racing, and perhaps there's lots of white noise going on. And please let me know, you know, if you've experienced that before as well, where you know there's lots of you know, racing thoughts, or perhaps you lay down to go to sleep at night and you cannot fall asleep because your mind is so active, you're wired but tired, and this is like the long-term effects really of stress and different symptoms. And I think more and more people are certainly being affected by this, with so many unknowns currently in today's both economic climate and the world that we're currently living in, and knowing how to actually bridge that gap, take ourselves out of overwhelm, come back to a place of faith and trust and inner peace, come back to a place of feeling like everything's going to be okay, and trust and faith that I can handle whatever life throws at me or whatever presents. I'm currently moving through like a major transition in my life around my girls both leaving home, and one has left home and one's in the process of leaving home, and even that in itself can be quite overwhelming in so many ways. It's almost like the reverse of learning how to become like a brand new mum. And so of course when we look at what is actually creating the overwhelm, because that's the number one thing, and a lot of people that perhaps are experiencing high levels of stress, or not knowing how to improve their emotional state or have emotional wisdom, often can end up obviously in the doctor's clinic and saying, you know, I'm feeling all of this stress, or I'm not sleeping well, or I'm having high anxiety, or I'm feeling these depressive type feelings. And of course always reach out to somebody if you are going through those challenges. This is not something to take lightly or anything else. However, please be an advocate for your own health. Often we actually know intuitively what is actually causing a lot of those challenges, and often it can be just a symptom of life. I know I had a couple of people that were close to me at the time when my marriage broke down and my mum had passed away, and they're like, oh, we really think you should go to the doctors. And it's like, I'm human, I am grieving, I am sad, I'm angry, I'm going through major life changes in adjusting to becoming a single mum, and all of those things. And I just think it's something that, you know, certainly over-the-counter medications or you know, any anxiety or any of the antidepressants, things like that, can certainly be a bridge for a short period of time. But when they become our long-term solution, we're actually ignoring the deeper pain or what's actually going on at a deeper level. And that is absolutely critical to address, because I can promise you, if it's going on emotionally for you, and if you've ever read any of the side effects from some of those medications and things like that, I would certainly you know, really invite you to be cautious and aware, and very you know, informed before making some of those choices for yourself. And at the end of the day, remember that that is a choice for you, and I have no judgment around any of that. I know what I choose for myself. I'm just saying, you know, I really invite you to step into that space of being an advocate for your own health, of looking at what are some of the different ways, or what is my pain trying to tell me, what is my pain trying to communicate with me. Because when we believe that taking something like you know, any depression or any anxiety medication long term is the solution, it's kind of keeping our hand on the hot stove. In my mind, in my belief system anyway, and you certainly don't need to take this on. If it resonates, great. If not, you know, just discard it. If it doesn't fit with your belief system, I'm not here to change belief systems. I'm inviting you to have a look at a different way of thinking. It would be like putting our hand, or for me personally, it would be like putting my hand on a hot stove and keep injecting my arm with morphine to numb the pain, without actually removing the pain or the root cause of what's actually going on. Our emotions are here to tell us and to let us know, and that's where overwhelm long term, we can all experience overwhelm in short bursts with different life changes and different experiences that we're going through. I know when I was a first-time mum, you know, that was extraordinarily overwhelming. Second time that I became I became a mum for the second time with the birth of my second daughter, and my former husband and I had bought a 7-day-a-week cafe. So again, there was a new adjustment. I was working 7 days a week and had a brand new baby and had a toddler that was 18 months old. So again, you know, different adjustments can be very, very overwhelming. And if we give ourselves a grace period or a transition period of, you know, at least 2 to 3 months to adjust, then we normally find that we can get back into a rhythm, we can get back into some sort of a stride moving forward again, in a way. But if that overwhelm, if you've been in overwhelm for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and longer, it is really, really key to address what are the driving factors that keep creating overwhelm, because long term it is not sustainable, and you will end up very depleted in physically, mentally and emotionally, with nothing left in the bucket, and life can feel very meaningless and purposeless. We can often feel that we've lost our motivation, or we have to push ourselves extra hard, or we find ourselves procrastinating or disappearing in the Facebook scroll hole, or, you know, on Instagram, like doing things that don't necessarily serve us. And I've got, again, nothing against, obviously I'm on Facebook, so that would be obviously contradictory. Great to have you on here. It's just, are you choosing it consciously, or are you just disappearing or distracting, or using it as a way to escape the overwhelm and the stress of your life? And often the language that we use to describe certain events or certain experiences, or even past events and past experiences, add to the emotional state and add to the overwhelm that we're feeling. And I was exploring this with myself this morning as I sat, and I was just feeling into some of the feelings that I'm experiencing. And I have a whole range of mixed experiences and emotions about, you know, this transition phase that I'm moving through. And one of the phrases that was coming up to me was, I'm losing my girls. And that was incredibly distressing, and incredibly, like, it induced a lot of grief feelings and a lot of emotion and distraught, and feeling like, oh my God, if I'm losing my girls, like, you know, what is life even about? I'm questioning myself, I'm questioning my identity, I'm questioning the purpose of life, like all of those things. And just by a simple reframe of, I'm not losing my girls, our relationship is growing into a more adult relationship, and I'm really excited about this next stage. stage is a total reframe. And you can tell straight away by that, like, how does my emotion shift and change? How do my feelings shift and change when I think about, oh my God, I get to create this next stage of my relationship with my girls. Now, sometimes if we've had the loss of a loved one in our life, or we've gone through major life events that we can't go back and change, we can't reframe the event, or we can't recreate the event or the experience, and we can't actually change it moving forward. Clearly, like, I have some control, or I have some ability to be able to influence how my relationship goes with my girls, and I have great trust and faith in that. We have a great relationship currently. I've done a lot of work both internally on myself and have built up a great relationship with my girls over the years, and I trust fully in that. I know that we love each other deeply and care about each other deeply. But what happens when you have a life experience that you can't change? And for me, one of those life experiences was my mum passing away, and for a long time I had a meaning that I'd created around that experience of my mum has passed away and I'm here and I'm all alone. And of course that made me feel even more alone, more isolated, more grief-stricken, all of those things which wasn't serving me at the time. Now, you know, sometimes it takes a long period of time to move through things and to be able to reframe. So if something has just happened, don't beat up on yourself if you feel unable to do this, or it's just like, my God, there's no way I could do that right now. This takes, and it took me 2 years to be able to reframe that experience for myself in being able to find the gifts and the blessings. Now, of course, in a heartbeat, I would have my mum back if I could control that event, if I could control that circumstance. I would, of course, have my mum back in a heartbeat, but I can't. I'm very connected to her spiritually. I'm very connected to her in my conversations with her, and I feel her deeply as a presence in my life, and yet she's not there physically to hug. She's not there physically to pick up the phone and have a physical conversation with. And so I needed to shift and reframe the meaning that I'd created around that in order to be able to take me out of the overwhelm of the feelings that I was experiencing continually. And that was like a 2-year process. So again, like I was saying, sometimes we can feel extreme overwhelm just through the changing of a life experience. And whether that's a new job, a new relationship, sometimes, it can be really happy, wonderful things that still put us into overwhelm. It might be getting married, or it might be moving into your dream house. And often, moving home is a very overwhelming experience because you're literally packing up your entire life, your entire things, and relocating, and that can be very uprooting for the nervous system, for ourselves emotionally, if we've had an attachment to where we've previously lived. Like, there's all these different things that can play out that create a feeling or a sense of overwhelm in our life as well. And so really identifying what is at the root cause of my overwhelm. Is this a long-term belief of I have to work all the time in order to be able to create the money that I need? Or like, is there any other, or I have to be there for everybody else and I can't take care of myself? Like, what is creating the overwhelm? And really start to challenge those beliefs in making a shift, or reframing, or starting to tell a different story, starting to create a new story, a new unlimited story for yourself moving forward, because we literally create our circumstances by the way that we think and by the way that we feel, and how we're interacting with our current reality and the meaning and perception that we're actually making about it at the time. So I truly hope that's been helpful for you. Like I said, be your own advocate for your health. If you are having emotional challenges and you're not sure how to actually shift or change that, or perhaps you're experiencing a lot of fatigue, a lot of exhaustion, if you are a woman, please reach out to me. I'm doing some very in-depth work at the moment in this particular area. I have a free community that you're very, very welcome to join. And I do actually still work with male coaching clients. So, if you're a male, you don't necessarily miss out. If this message resonates for you, please reach out to me. My program is specifically for women as we work through like a lot of the hormonal shifts and changes and some of the challenges that can come up for women around all of that, and some of the life experiences, of course, that we go through as women. And it is an amazing and nurturing community to really, really take care of you. Hey, Cal, great to have you on. And have you connected with other women that are potentially or perhaps going through a very similar journey to you as well? Because being connected in this state, in this age at the moment, you know, in this state of the world, is more important than ever before. And not just, you know, superficial connection. More than ever before, I think humans are longing to be understood, are longing to be recognized, are longing to be heard, are longing to feel connected with a greater community that's supportive, that's uplifting, that's nurturing. And often when we feel that we've needed to be the caretaker for everybody else, it's very nurturing and supportive to finally be part of a group where everybody's uplifting everybody and no one particular person is carrying the load, so to speak, or having that extra responsibility of feeling like they've got to be taking care of everybody else as well, because that can produce feelings of out of control and feeling extremely and extraordinarily overwhelmed. And particularly if that's been a lifelong pattern for you where you've felt overly responsible for others. Good morning, Annette. Great to have you on, honey. Where you felt overly responsible for others and you're moving through big transitions and shifts in your life. Sometimes it can just take one or two major life events on top of that low-level chronic stress that perhaps you've had for a long period of time that can really tip us over the edge and take us into a lot of adrenal fatigue and a lot of exhaustion as well. So take some time to really get clear what is causing your current overwhelm. Like I said, sometimes we need to reframe a particular situation or perception around an event or circumstance, and that can take absolutely a period of time. And the other things is, are you just going through a major life change at the moment, and what can you do just to take really good care of yourself physically, mentally and emotionally as you transition through this phase? Where can you take the pressure off yourself in other areas and really love on yourself? And like I said, please feel free to, I'll pop the community below as well. Please feel free to invite your friends or invite anybody that you know that really could serve and make a difference to by being part of that group and that really nurturing group. And as always, please reach out if this really speaks to you and you're like, oh my God, yes, I've been in overwhelm for a very long time in my life. I felt stressed for a long time. I've had to work through like a lot of things, and perhaps that's been physical, mental or emotional, or, you know, more childhood experiences. Please reach out to me and we'll have a conversation, see if and how I might be able to help you. So have an amazing rest of your day. Loads of love to all of you. And as always, if this has resonated, please like, love it or share it. And have a great rest of your day. Lots of love. Bye.